Thanks for listening to the AZ12 podcast, proudly presented by Little Caesars. 15% off any online order. Enter promo code SAVE15, code LCFREECC. Free crazy combo with a pizza purchase. You all know the drill. Let's get in there. All right, now let's talk about a lot of different things, guys. With John Brogan, Kobe L. Thiel, I am merely Mike Luke. Arizona wins 92-58. And to give you an idea about how people, I think, were feeling before this game, Brogan says, hey, I kind of like the 3.5, the Arizona minus 3.5 before the under 16 timeout. I hope you got that bet in because this was a mismatch and it was evident early, Brogan.
Yeah, they made a good point during when they announced the starters, and Arizona was like 200 pounds heavier, like in totality across the board, and about 2 feet in total height added up. So once you see that, then you partner that with the fact that Long Island's offense is points in the paint. That's a bad recipe for the game today.
Kobe L.
Oh, I think Brogan hit it right on the mark there. They did not have the recipe or the tools to truly compete with Arizona. They were far too small, and they don't shoot the three well enough to really have been competitive in this game. And I know we talked about that throughout the week, and it was just kind of evident today. They shot the three better than they normally do, but they were still nowhere near ready to play in this game.
And the thing is, too, that you really, really see, and we're going to talk about this a lot when you see Arizona in warmups, is they have something that almost nobody else in this region has. But let's get we got a couple super snaps already in there. Andy Bryant, $4.99, back the A, back the Bruce hug. Yeah, I seen Bruce, and hugging Bruce was great for me. All right, now, Southern Arizona Rail Productions, back the A, BTFD, $9.99. Very much appreciate you. Oh, and the great Vegas Falcon. Great start bonus. 1 down, 5 to go. $50 super snap from the great Vegas Falcon. All right, guys, I'm going to say this. Arizona, and you have to kind of be there to see it, but I was telling Brogan about this as well. Arizona is so much bigger than all of these other teams. It's insane to watch. When you see Villanova, like give an example, like Villanova, Utah State, Arizona should win both of those games very easily. Again, they are so much taller than these teams. That's their margin for error there, Brogan. And you look at it, there's a lot of teams that they have a depth problem or a height problem. This is a team that's quite big. Put it to you like that.
Well, when you look at the tournament historically, the teams that pull off upsets are teams that can make a bunch of threes. That's kind of the mid-major recipe, if you will. The problem with facing a team like Arizona is they've already played the teams like Texas Tech and Iowa State that are elite three-point shooting teams. More often than not, they win, but that speaks to their margin for error. They're going to dominate the glass, points in the paint. They're not going to give up a ton of points in the paint. As long as they can continue to hit threes, again, I think the announcers made a great point, which is Arizona they don't shoot the volume of threes that you might expect, but they make threes at a normal clip. So today, Long Island decided they were going to crowd the paint to try to take that away, and Arizona made a bunch of threes. So if you're going to leave Arizona wide open, they'll make threes. But their game's to go inside first, and if you stop that, then we'll shoot a few threes as a result. But they haven't had to do that yet. So,
Kobe L.
I'm going to piggyback off that. The commentary crew did do a very good job at highlighting that while they don't take a large volume, they do shoot a high percentage. And I thought Long Island today just kind of thought we're going to leave Arizona open, and it didn't really work very well. So Arizona could beat you in a number of ways. I mean, they won the rebounding battle 52-31. They shot the ball well from three and in the paint. It's very rare to see a team that can beat you just about any way possible. It's really, really rare to see.
All right, now let's see. We got another one that came in here. Let's see. OC Bodybuilders, great start to the tourney. That's what you want. The thing about this team as well is that they really, really move the ball well. I mean, when the ball doesn't stick, that was kind of what made, I think, Tommy's first year team and even his second year team be better than they probably should have, is that the ball never stuck. When Caleb got here, I love Caleb, but the ball would stick with Caleb. The ball does not stick on this team. And Mo Krivas with a nice slick pass that I did not know that he had in his arsenal. You look at it, though, and just the way this offense goes, they're humming right now. And you look, everybody's approaching double digits. They just look good, guys.
Well, and what you want to start the tournament, whenever you're a team that has aspirations of winning the title, right? You're one of these 6 or 7 teams that everybody's picking to win. What you want to do is you want to start the tournament like Arizona did and not like Duke did. You don't want Arizona to come out clunky, be down at the half because they overlooked the team and had to kind of, muscle their way to victory. Like, come out, smack your 16 seed by 30, get to the next round, get familiar with the gym and the settings, and be ready to go. And so that's what Arizona did. So I think this is the perfect start for them. They knew they were going to win, but you don't want to have this be a 12-point game where you foul a bunch and you shoot like crap and you're like, okay, we got to make adjustments. Now we keep doing what we do for the next round and keep it.
And remember that first year, Tommy's first team, where Arizona was only up like 3 against Wright State in the half or something, or maybe they're down 3. I can't even remember. And you're like, all right, I just wanted to go out there and just beat the crap out of this team because, again, you looked at it yesterday. Cienega would have beaten Duke had Cienega actually had like a full roster. I mean, had actually had more than 5 guys. The other team, who was the Michigan? You were like up by like 4 against Howard at the half. Arizona said there will be none of this, and they basically just exerted their girth immediately on them, Kobe.
Oh, exactly. I mean, we've seen Tommy teams do that. I was actually going to bring up the Wright State game as well, where you're sitting here in the first half of the game and you're kind of like, they kind of look like crap at the moment.
Right.
And today it was pretty evident early. I mean, Long Island was playing the best they could early, but there was still Arizona was just in a different class. And you just have to be appreciative that they took this game seriously. They showed up and they did what they had to do. And you know what? They're going on to the next round with some momentum going forward. Gotta applaud them for that.
All right, let's talk about it. I mean, you look at it too. 52-31. Every time Arizona plays a crappy team, they should be getting 15 to 20 more rebounds. I put it to you like this. I think that if they play whoever they play, whether that's Villanova, whether that's Utah State, Arizona needs to be out rebounding them by about 15. And what I like about this is that it was really really well. It was nice across the board. Look at these look at these rebounding numbers here. You got Yvonne with 10 rebounds. You got Koa with 7 rebounds. You got Mo with 7 rebounds. You got Burries. You got Bradley with 5 and 5. You got Tobe obviously with 8. Dwayne with 4. It was just an all-around performance there, Brogan.
Yeah, and when you think about, everybody talks about physicality and be a big physical team, and the number one kind of way I think people measure that is rebounding. Defensive rebounding, offensive rebound, those types of things. Obviously, you could be physical on defense. You know, do you foul a lot? Do you not foul a lot? Things like that. But the fact that Arizona is just so physical, and rebounds at such a high rate that you start to see things when you play a team like Long Island where they sub one of their bigs in the game and he just runs down the floor and just decides to shoulder check Krivas for no reason. But that just shows what that shows to me is, 1, Long Island was clearly frustrated, and 2, Arizona must just be beating the crap out of them in the paint between rebounding and things of that nature, where they're like, okay, I've had enough of this. But that's been Arizona's calling card all year, is we're going to be big, we're going to be physical, we're going to be tough, and if you don't match it, you're going to get blown out. And they've shown that a bunch of times this year for sure.
And I'll say this, and I'm curious, Kobe, if you want to piggyback on this point, I think it was kind of curious, though, about with watching the game up front, though, is that Mo Krivas, man, he gets called for crap that has nothing. There was a foul, I think it was the beginning of the second half, or maybe it was the end of the first half, I can't remember, where he literally goes straight up. The guy goes right into him, and they call a foul. And Tommy just kind of looks back at everybody. He didn't look back at me. He was in front of me, blocking me basically the whole time. But he just kind of looks back at everyone. He's like, really? Is that a foul? I mean, and it's not like he's a demonstrative guy, but, man, Mo gets a terrible whistle.
Oh, he probably gets one of the worst whistles I've seen in college basketball this year, because he gets called for fouls that are non-existent, and then he probably gets fouled almost every other possession, just off the ball, or even when he does get the ball. So, I mean, it is what it is at this point. Obviously, he's not going to get those types of calls, but it should be another game like that on a Sunday. We're talking about rebounding. Villanova, they have 2 7-footers. They combine for 5 minutes a game. I don't expect them to do much. So, I mean, Duke Brennan really is like their biggest player that plays legitimate minutes. And Utah State doesn't have a single player over 6'10". So this should be a game where they should dominate the rebounding again.
So is Jessica watching? Is the lovely Jessica Brogan watching this right now?
She was at the start. She's gone now.
Oh, tell her to come back. We got the Foster Plumbing read coming up. I'm sure she'll like that one. Yes. All right. As far as the 3-point shooting goes, and my mom despises Jalen Rose at this point, because every time they go to Jalen Rose, he says one thing and he says one thing only, and you can tell that it's just something he picked up. He said, I can't pick Arizona. They don't shoot threes. There's nothing else that he says. He just says, I can't pick Arizona. They don't shoot threes. And he says, what happens if they don't make threes? And my mom's like, when have we don't take a lot of threes. That again is the little bit of my issue here, but you hit the nail on the head, Brogan. When they shoot threes, they make them at a solid clip. It's clearly Tommy's priority. And, we talked about this before the season, that they're going to prioritize other things, but if you play way off of them, they can still beat you.
Well, and if you watch just watching a bunch of games the last 2 days, a lot of teams shoot a lot of threes, and they're contested threes, they're pull-up threes off the dribble, the threes in transition, all those different things. When you watch Arizona play, you can clearly tell that they're going to move the ball. And if you're wide open, great, shoot a three. If you're not wide open, keep the ball moving and we'll get a better shot. So Arizona feels like on offense, they're playing to get the best shot possible, which more times than not is in the paint. But I firmly believe that if you just decided to not guard Arizona at the 3-point line, they would shoot 25 threes in a game, maybe 30. If you left them wide open the whole game, but you can't do that either because they make 36 or 37% of their threes. So it's kind of pick your poison, and right now they're just going to keep pounding inside until teams make them adjust.
And you know what happens is when you leave people, when you play off of somebody and they make 3 or 4 straight threes, there's a 12-0 run right there. That's why people don't want to actually do it. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. All right, now we got everybody. Dennis Walsh's whole crew is in here. The great Jerry Reyes, Dennis Walsh show. Where's Amor? Yeah. But all right, now. We're going to talk about moving forward here a little bit. But I'll just say this though, just in synopsis on this game. This is exactly what I wanted. That team wasn't very good. Arizona treated them like they weren't very good and basically smacked them and then got out the door. That's exactly what you want in a situation like this. I think that's pretty cool. All right, now let's talk a little bit. And Shear made an interesting point that I want to talk to. Every now and then he makes an interesting point. I want to talk a little bit about Tommy's postseason, and because I think he gets a little bit of a bum rap, especially from Javier here in the comments. But let's get some reads in here first. Back to reads. I need to get that thing of. Remember when Kobe froze up and it just looked like he was going like. All right, yeah. Okay. All right, hey, don't put that part on there, Cody, for this read. All right, now Alchemy. Insurance and financial solutions for Wildcat Nation. Hashtag bear down insurance, everything.com. Business insurance, personal insurance, benefit, life, wealth management. The great thing about Alchemy, and it is very, very simple, is that you want somebody in the community that is going to be part of the 21st century. And like we always talk about on this show, everybody, schools need money. If you look at it right now, you look at Arizona and you look at what they have going on, they have a pretty high-priced roster. It's probably one of the 15 most high-paid rosters in the country. Guess what? You don't just get that money out of nowhere. You don't find it under couch cushions. That's why it's awesome to be partnering with somebody like Alchemy, the official sponsor of Arizona Athletics. And the great thing about it as well is that Josh and Curtis are U of A diehards. These are people that are fully invested into the program. Great guys. We're going to have them on again, but they're absolutely fantastic. A great partnership for the U of A. Big shout out to DRF and for these guys for getting this one happen. Very, very excited about this. All right, what else we got? All right, Casino del Sol. Kobe Elfield showed up to Casino del Sol wearing ostrich boots. And guess what? The women were absolutely going crazy about it. Even women that say they only like men over 6 foot were saying, yeah, I'd like a piece of that ostrich. That is what was fun about it, though. Casino del Sol. We're going to have more stuff going on there as well. Great place to show up. Bet, sports, all of that stuff. Casino del Sol. We'll have a very, very good time. Had almost over 100 people or had 120 people show up. Boom. Check it out. All right. What else we got? All right. Now, Brogan, talk to me. Front pipe. What's going on? Anything new?
Still here. Still working.
All right. Still working? Okay. Now, Kobe Elfield, I would assume some of the lovely ladies that were interested in you also would be curious if the front pipe. Can you confirm that the front pipe works?
It's functional. We'll leave it at that. Functional.
Oh, well, you're not saying that with any amount of confidence. That's, well, I guess.
Oh, it's ready to go. Right on command.
All right, well, that's good. That's what we like. Just like Foster Plumbing is always good to go. Quality work at a fair price. 10% off when you mention the AZ12 podcast. Gas, water, sewer repairs, drain cleaning, water heaters, sewer line coating. You name it, they've got it. And like I said, if you need a good flushing as well, they'll check it out. Foster Plumbing Incorporated. Quality work at a fair rate. Okay, now, where are we talking? Or yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit then. Let's move on then, my friends. Let's move on. This team, the other one, Braden Burries. It's really what I don't know that I've ever seen a freshman here that that just plays at his own speed. It doesn't get sped up. Like when Gill was here, Gill was just more skilled and more athletic. He could get where he wanted. Jared Bayless could just overpower you and get where he wanted. Braden's just different. And I'm not saying he's not going to be Gill. That's not what I'm saying. But Brogan, I have never seen anybody that does not get sped up, that basically plays at his own rate the way that he does.
Yeah, I think the closest is Bayless when you talk about coming in as a freshman and being physically mature and having kind of a really diverse offensive skill set. I mean, right. Gill was that as a freshman, a little more as a sophomore, but like Bayless came in right away. But they're different players, right? Obviously.
We're talking wings, Rick Trimmer. We're not talking Mike Bibby. We're talking guards. So shooting guards. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And so the thing that's impressive about Burries is he's not the most overwhelming athlete like Bayless was. He handles the ball really well, but he's not like a crazy point guard handler, but he can still get any shot anytime. He gets to the rim with ease, finishes with ease, pull-up jumper. And so I don't know that Arizona's had a complete scoring option like him at the 2 guard in a long, long time, who everything is relatively easy for him, and scoring transition, he's crazy. So he doesn't really have a weakness offensively. Which it's been a long time since they've been able to say that, especially coming from a freshman, which is
the thing is, the thing that's so amazing about him, and Rick, Mike Bibby's in his own category. I'm not, with all due respect. The thing with Burries though is that when you watch him shoot a 3, if you want to leave him wide open and let him shoot 23s in a game, cool. I got absolutely no problem with it because he's going to be making 9 or 10 of it. He really feels that just the game. You can also tell, too, there's some people that you can just tell got good just by working hard. The people that were around Braden Burries, you could tell knew basketball because this guy has an advanced game at all levels. He has an amazing ability to be able to finish as well. That is just something that is, the only thing as far as, people asking about Arenas and whatnot, the thing that was crazy about Gill is that Gill was 2 years younger than Burries when he came into college. Yeah. Gill had just turned 17, which is something that's, I don't think we'll ever see here again. Burries is 20 or something. So, but either way,
Gill was a different athlete than
Gill was just different. Yeah, for sure. But Burries, though, this also goes to show you as well why you want to believe in Tommy. You got the sisters in the chat, and they're like, they're complaining the entire time. Tommy should have gone after this. Burries is the best. Let me ask you this, Brogan. Let me ask you this, Kobe L. Is there a shooting guard in the country clearly better than him right now? Somebody that you would say, all right, I would clearly take him over Braden Burries. Not like an arguable one, but somebody that is clearly better.
No, when you look at the draft, if you look at the lottery, Burries is the top shooting guard in the draft. Right. People are going to talk about Flemings and Acuff and Mikel Brown. Those guys are all being drafted as point guards. Like Burries is the clear top 2 guard pick in the draft. I don't know who else is really even close from a 2 guard standpoint in college.
Right. And he's so consistent. I think that's the other thing. It's, this, unless he's not feeling well, you can basically chalk him up for 18, 25 points per night. And that's what I think is a little bit different about this team. And again, I love Caleb, but Caleb was also the guy that could go for 40 or could go for 4. And you just didn't really know what you were going to get. I kind of feel like I know what I'm going to get every time here, Kobe.
No, I'd have to agree. And in my opinion, I wouldn't take another shooting guard over him in the country. I was just kind of going through ESPN's top 50 players in the country and going into the tournament. And none of the guards ahead of him, a lot of them are point guards, but none of the guards ahead of him I'd really take if they were shooting guards. I mean, the one you could say that would potentially be better would be as if you classified Darren Peterson as a shooting guard because Council runs the point for them. But then again, I also don't know if he's ever going to be on the court because he might just quit at halftime. So I'd still take Braden just for that reason.
It's funny. That's the only one I thought about, but I'm going to take Braden because I just have a much better idea what I'm going to get.
Braden seems more of a winning basketball player in my opinion. Darren Peterson is very much a ball stopper, and he seems a lot of me first mentality just because I never know if he's going to quit at halftime. Like it wouldn't surprise me if Kansas is down 10 at halftime, or even if they're up 20 at halftime today, he just quits. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I spaced Peterson. Peterson is going to be a better NBA player than Braden Burries, most likely. Like, that's where you're placing your money if you have to make that bet. But if you're talking about Arizona is going to win a national title
now, yeah,
you would take Burries because you know he's going to play. You know what he's going to get. Peterson might sub himself out with 16 minutes to go in a Elite Eight game. Like, you just don't know. If I'm drafting for the NBA, I'm taking Peterson all day over Burries. But if I'm trying to win a national title this year, I'm taking Burries.
If I have to win one game tomorrow, I'm taking Burries over Peterson. If I have to win one game, that's who I'm riding with.
I would have no problem. By the way, Kobe, check my Twitter. You got to see what you look like on my end. I just tweeted it.
Oh, is it the one you sent in the group chat, the little like clip or whatever?
I don't know, but you should just check it out. It's very funny. It makes me laugh a lot.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. All right, now let's Jaden Bradley. JB looks good. I think you wanted to see a little bit with the wrist. You wanted to see kind of how he looked and everything. But man, he looked good. He looked good. He wasn't showing any favoritism towards it. I will say this, though, about him. He's done this a few times now. He's got to stop pushing off when he drives to the basket, though, when he's about to get an easy bucket. He did that again. Stop doing that. You're giving up 3 points. Guys, that's all I want. Just don't do that. Everything is good.
Well, he got off to such a quick start today that I forgot he hurt his wrist in the Big 12 tournament. Like, I didn't even come to mind.
And that's a good thing.
Hit a 3 early, had a bucket early. My only nitpick with him is he's kind of a lazy rebounder where he stands around as like, I've got everybody else on my team that dominates the glass, and then he'll give up an occasional offensive rebound because he's just kind of standing there watching. Yeah. But for him, again, he as the team goes, he goes. He's happy to defer. You saw him in the Big 12 tournament come out and fire up a bunch of shots early in one of the games. So it's like, for him, there are better point guards in the country, right? When you think about Acuff and what they're doing, but for what Arizona needs to do and Burries to be able to get his 19, 20 points a game in his last 10 or whatever, and for them to go inside out so much, Bradley's kind of the perfect fit for them. He's a great defender. And so I don't think you would trade him for anybody else in the country right now because of how he fits with this team, which is perfect.
He fits perfectly. And the other thing too, and it annoys me a little bit at times because there are times when I wish he would be more aggressive, but there's also a lot of guys too that would not be cool being a 4th-year senior trying to go get yours. And to be able, you got a whole team out there, and you can tell that there's games where he's totally content just getting 6 points and 7 assists or whatever. That's kind of a lost art. You don't see that. There's a lot of point guards we've seen over the years that I think would much rather lose. I would probably be one of them if I was good in a point guard and get mine than as opposed to winning the game. And he clearly just cares about winning the game,
No, you can tell that he's a big culture setter for this team. And he definitely could, like, we were talking about it last week. If he was on another team that wasn't as good, he easily could be a 20-8 type of guy. He could easily get 20 shots if he really wanted to. But one of the things I really like about JB that not a lot of guys have is he is completely okay with Braden kind of being the guy sometimes. Like, I think back to that Alabama game when that was like Braden's coming out party, and there were multiple times he took the ball up the court and just gave it to Braden and got out of the way. Like, yeah, you're cooking. That's fine. You got it. So I really do think that he's a big culture guy for this team, and it's selfless, and he's a winning player. That's why he was the player of the year.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about Utah State and Villanova. I'm going to be running back over there. After this to go scout. Not that anybody really cares. But Villanova, I love Duke Brennan. I sent Kobe L on a wild goose chase about something that I was howling at each time he responded to it. Basically, I was saying, why is we all agree that Duke Brennan is better than Krivas, right? And he's clearly not. But if you look at the stats, like Brogan says, it's just plausible enough that but Kobe L was giving me metrics. Kobe L was giving me PER. The per 40, by the way, stay away from those per 48 nerds. Those guys are all idiots.
Well, which was the best part about it. It was at like midnight, 1 a.m, something ridiculous like that too.
Yeah, that's okay. But all right. But Villanova, again, knock on wood. I know all that crap. Villanova is going to have a very, very difficult time, I believe, hanging with Arizona. Again, I just can't quite get it out of my head. I literally called Broken after I saw them. They are tiny, man. They are tiny. And no, it's Cienega, Bowmaster. They played Cienega, the Cienega team from Vail. can't really, they're just tiny, man. You're going to have a lot of 6'3", 6'4" guys that are going to be in the paint trying to go against Tobey and Koa, and good luck with that. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, and I'm actually not even thinking about Villanova because I think Utah State's winning that game that starts here now.
Right.
But either way, both of those teams are small. They're skinny. They're not physical. When I look at Villanova, the only thing I can't get out of my head is you played in the weakest of the so-called power basketball conferences. You didn't beat St. John's or UConn all year. So you have an inflated record because you beat up on a bad conference. And you don't have any good non-conference wins, which is why you're an 8 seed, 9 seed, whatever they are. They're the 9 or the 8 seed. So even if they find a way to beat Utah State, like that feels like Arizona wins that game by 15 or 20, no stress. Conversely, I feel the same about Utah State. I think Utah State will probably be a little more technical when it comes to X's and O's, and they'll shoot the three and things of that nature. But either way, they're both going to be too small. Arizona's going to have their way in the paint, and I don't think it's really going to matter.
Yeah, Kobiel.
I agree. I think Utah State will win that game. I think Villanova is probably a little bit more talented, but I feel like Utah State plays more as a team, and they're probably a little bit better coached personally. But they shouldn't have issues with either team just because they're not very big. They should be able to just dominate them on the glass. And kind of interesting, I'm looking at their roster. I didn't realize that Villanova has a Devin Askew. I didn't realize that one.
Dude, the fact that guy's still playing is astounding. Sean Miller recruited him when he was at the U of A.
I remember when I was in school.
Damari Burnett. Those two have been in college for like 9 years, it feels like.
I remember when I was in school reading Shear's articles about Devin Askew.
Wait a second. You mean Wait a second. Shear's articles, you mean the copy and paste quotes with like one sentence in between as a transition? Those articles?
This was so long ago that you were probably writing the articles, Mike.
I was probably one of me.
Thinking about it, but I'm scrolling through the roster and their stats. I'm like, Devin Askew, that's a blast from the past. But both teams are relatively small. I think that obviously favors Arizona. I don't really fear either team by any means. So, I mean, if they take care of business, they'll be okay.
All right, let's talk about Arkansas then, because I have some thoughts on Arkansas. But first, let's get a couple reads in here. Talk the read. Javier, stop complaining about never mind, whatever. Javier, you're watching a great team and you live in Guadalupe. Ignore Guadalupe and focus on a good team. Just like we're about to talk about Baggins with Kai. I need a real-time Dennis Walsh from you. 12 Arizona locations. Kobiel Field went there the other day, and he real-timed it. We very much thank you, Kobiel Field. Locally owned and operated. All food made in-house daily. Join our VIP text club. Text Baggins to 877-797-0444 for specials and deals. Like BOGO Fridays, free delivery. If you need a free ride to, I don't know, Guadalupe. No, I'm not going to take you to Guadalupe. Either way, ignore all of that. Free delivery with code free ride. Boom. Check it out. And yeah, Dennis Walsh, I would take Villanova's resume over Arizona. Sorry, I just would. Okay, 88 crime, 882-7463. It's anonymous. Pima County Attorney's Office. You see people going out there and you're like, what the heck's going on? There's something bad, but I don't want to get involved. Call 88 crime. Don't get your hands dirty. Don't get any of that stuff. Call 88 crime. They will do it for you. Again, a lot of people have done it. Check it out. Boom. Land the man. Hey, Brogan, since we found out that this woman is AI, has Land the Man been lying to us about Thatcher as well then, and the back and forth with Thatcher and Benson? Is it maybe fair to say at this point that Benson has basically destroyed Thatcher and Land the Man was not being forthright with us?
In the modern era, yes.
Okay, so Thatcher's old money, right?
Thatcher's basically Bill Russell.
Oh, so they're basically cardboard helmet football era then.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. But all I'm going to say is this. The championship package is legitimate, though. It not only is it legitimate, it is amazing. And it's only $19.97. Everybody out there, you need to go out there and get the championship package now because this thing's going to get up. You will get your sheet. Yeah, $19.97 before it becomes $20.26. Only offers necessary treatment. Again, you go in there and they're not taking out your larynx and putting it into your scapula and saying, hey, yeah, we got to remove this. They're not doing any of that stuff. Only offers necessary treatment. Check it out. Championship package. It is the cardboard football era. You ever talk with like old timers and they're like, "Oh, football was so much better in the '60s." No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I've watched the highlights of that. No plumbers or any of that stuff. That's all crap. Okay, now Arkansas.
I've watched an outdated offense for the last 5 or 6 years. I'm completely okay with watching the smash mouth 3 yards in a pile of dust.
Because if you can fire Mike Tomlin for Mike McCarthy, you just got to do it. You just got to. I don't know how else you put it. Okay, now let's put it to you like, all right, let's talk about this a little bit then. Arkansas can score a lot of points. That is clearly, and I believe I would probably choose Acuff probably in the top 4 in the draft. I'm going to say this though, whether it's by design. John Calipari has talked about this. Maybe it's an exaggeration. Maybe it's not. They do not defend, and that starts with Acuff to the point where Acuff doesn't even look like he tries to defend. That's a game. If Arizona ends up playing them, Jaden's got to eat. That's the best way that I could put it. Jaden's got it because Darius Acuff's going to let him get his cheat.
Well, we should all be High Point fans tomorrow. Let's get Arkansas out of the way. So whenever you get to the Sweet 16, the games are tough. You already know that. I'm not worried about the 8-9 game, whether it's Villanova or Utah State. The matchup is perfect for Arizona. With Arkansas, though, there's a couple things. One, they're an SEC school with $20 million in NIL. So they're going to have dudes who can play. They're going to be athletic. They've got Acuff, who's going to be the best player in the game. So Arkansas is definitely a team that can beat Arizona. If they play 10 times,
Billy Richmond.
They're not losing 10 times if they play 10 times. And so you have to take the game serious. Arizona's got the advantage. If Arizona's able to just pound the ball in the paint, get their bigs in foul trouble, then I think Arizona wins easy. If Brazil and McEwen and those guys get to play all game and stay out of foul trouble and Acuff gets it rolling, it becomes an interesting game for sure.
Kobe L.
I've watched Arkansas play quite a bit this year. I love watching Darius Acuff play. I think I've told y'all he's my favorite freshman to watch personally. I just find he's an awesome basketball player. But their offense is very predicated on the lob threat. If they're shooting from 2, it's almost always a lob. I think I saw Acuff about 1/5 of his assists or alley-oops. So I feel like this will be a game that Krivas – this standing around the paint is going to be essential because they try. If you watch yesterday, they probably had about 10 alley-oops. That's all they do. So we've done well against teams that require one player to play well. Like we've done well with guys that are going to get theirs, to say the least. But
they go get their shit.
It's going to be a game where they need Krivas to really step up because they throw at least 10 to 15 alley-oops a game.
Well, and that's what I'm going to come back to is that Arizona, this is the epitome of why I think Arizona, the more I look at this, and yes, like Brogan said, Arkansas is talented enough that they can win. Arkansas on a given day can beat anybody because they have talent. You've got 3 first-round picks, whatever. It is what it is. But you look at what they've done against teams with height, Arkansas, and they've had massive problems, whether that's Florida. They've had a couple other games this season where they basically just got annihilated. That's Arizona's key to victory, is that Arizona's got to destroy them down low. They don't have anybody like Mo. They don't have anybody like Tobe, Koa, etc. A guy, and I think they were banking on somebody like Nick Pringle being good. He's not. So you got Brazil. This is a game where you got to destroy them on the glass, Brogan.
Yeah, and they're another team that's got length and athleticism, but they're not necessarily big physical players like Koa is, like Awaka is, like Krivas is. So the game plan for Arizona is going to be real simple. It's going to be throw the ball inside a bunch, try to get their bigs in foul trouble, try to score easy baskets. What I'll be curious, though, is today the announcer, Stan Van Gundy specifically, basically said Krivas is the greatest drop coverage defender in the history of basketball. I think that hurts you against Arkansas, where you see a little bit of the Christian Anderson, where he can just come off screens and just shoot jump shots all game. So I'll be curious to see if they adjust their coverage against Acuff specifically.
Right.
Because you see a lot of what Anderson did against them. You see that in Acuff, where he can just come off and shoot, come off and create an attack. So I think that'll be interesting to watch. But Arizona's going to dominate the paint in that game. It's, if Acuff scores 40, Arkansas is probably going to win, or it's going to be a close game. They're going to have a shot late. If Acuff scores 20, I think Arizona beats them handily.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Acuff has to play like the absolute best player on the court, and it can't even really be close. But that's also where I think I need Bradley. I need Bradley to probably be around 18 to 20 points in this game because, again, you're going against somebody that everything that Arkansas does, and Calipari talked about this. He said everything that we do is predicated off what Darius does on offense. That's fine. That's great. He's awesome. At the end of the day, you have to have somebody. If that's going to be the case, Jaden Bradley has got to be very aggressive. I'm going to put it like that. You've got to be able, you get in pick and roll action, you get in paint, get downhill. You got to make him work.
I mean, I think I said it on the bracket reveal show, but I'll say it again. I think whoever wins that game is going to the Final Four. That's just me. I think either team would beat Purdue or Gonzaga, personally. Or Texas, because Sean Miller goes in a little run. But I think winner of that Sweet 16 game probably is going to the Final Four. And we'll just have to see. I mean, that's gonna be a good test, but I question their defense. I mean, I think they purposely don't play defense. They gave up 95 to Houston. I don't know how it's possible to let Houston score 95 points. That's just impossible to me, but they did somehow. And even though they killed Hawaii, they still gave up 80?
Right. So they're not going to play. They're going to try to outscore you. So, we'll see. And again, we're not who gets the D assignment on Acuff. I would assume they're going to put Jaden on him.
I think they'll do what they've done on a lot of these volume scorer types where they'll show them different looks. It'll be Jaden has them for a couple possessions and Braden gets, and they'll kind of mix it up.
Yeah, what you'll see is Karchenkov, Ivan will get him, Burries will get him, Bradley will get him. When there's 4 minutes to go in the game, it'll be exclusively Bradley on him, is what you'll see.
Right.
I think they've done a pretty good job at that this year just because those types of scorers, they kind of have to adjust based on who's defending them. Like I know AJ is a completely different player, but I think it kind of threw him off that Tommy was switching his defensive assignment just about every second or third possession. The first game at least.
All right, let's talk about it then. High point. One thing that we can definitely agree on after watching this, though, if you watch that game, Evans, I get it. I'm not saying Evans good. I'm not saying that. But the people that were saying, man, we really miss Conrad. Well, if you watch the game, I mean, Conrad's Conrad. So they knew what they were doing. High point, though, I'm going to say this against them. High point, they're going to shoot. You're going to shoot threes. They're going to. It's a fascinating matchup because no, I was at the game, Fuchs. It's a fascinating matchup for me because High Point. I think High Point's got a chance in this game. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they got a chance in this game, fellas.
Well, so they're going to be able to shoot whatever open threes they want. And against Wisconsin, they shot 40 threes and they made 15 of them.
Yep.
And so Arkansas is not exactly going to be trying to stop them from shooting threes. And so what I think about that game is, again, if they're able to shoot 40 threes again, if they're able to make 15 plus threes, they got a real chance to win. Now, are they going to be able to hold Arkansas under 90 points? We'll see. But that in the tournament, that's just 3 or 4 percentage points of off shooting, and all of a sudden you're scoring 80 instead of 90. If you give up 15 threes, you lose. So
and the thing about it as well is that if you get, this, if anytime games get into the 80s, that other team's going to have a chance to be able to win. If both teams are in the 80s to 90s, because that means that you're going basically tit for tat. So, we'll obviously get into that. I kind of agree with you, Brogan. I think Utah State's going to beat Villanova. Has that game started yet?
Yeah, it's 10-8 Utah State right now.
All right, I kind of think that, what are they, the Golden Aggies? I think Utah State's going to probably win that game, but, we shall see. But Too Busy Winning says rebound. That is, that's you were very, very right about that. Now, let's talk a little bit about the rest of the tournament then. One thing that I think that Arizona has that just a lot of teams that don't have right now, whether it's injury or whatnot, and I was talking about this with Brogan a little bit this morning, Arizona is just deeper and has better players than almost any other team. Now, are they invincible? No. But you look at it last night with Duke. Duke, if you're going against Cienega again, and Cienega had more than one player, then they're going to win that. Arkansas, kind of the same thing. Arkansas is playing like 6 dudes. Like these are the kind of teams that Arizona doesn't have that problem. You're bringing in ADO, you're bringing in Tobe, you're bringing in Dwayne. That's really a thing that I think Arizona has that not a lot of other teams have there, guys.
Well, and I'm like looking deeper at the tournament. If you look at the Big 12 teams so far, Iowa State rolled by 30, Houston rolled by 25. Game was never really competitive. Arizona rolled, TCU won. Again, BYU lost, but they've got like 7 guys injured, so that game's whatever. But the Big 12, I think you're seeing the benefits of the gauntlet that the conference is for these teams, to where they show up prepared to go. In the Iowa State game, Lipsy was out with 2 fouls, 2.5 minutes into the game, 3 minutes into the game. Jefferson sprained his ankle 3 minutes into the game, and then they blew him out at that point. So the Big 12 in general has prepared these teams for the tournament better than the rest of the conferences have, and I think you're seeing that. But then when you get to Arizona, they've got Dwayne Aristode, who is the most afterthought player on Arizona's rotation, and he's a starter at probably 50 of the 68 teams that made the tournament. And so it's just a good option to have. ADO can come in and, like he showed in the tournament against Houston and some of the other games, where he can give you 20. They just have too many good players, but their pieces also fit perfectly. You've seen other examples of Kentucky where they've got great players and the pieces don't fit. Arizona's the combo of great players and the right fit.
Yeah. Kobe L. Now, you know what this Brogan kind of described a little bit? We have a good pal of ours that was describing, telling us about how going through SEC football is just different, and it's going to get everybody ready for the postseason, bowl games, the playoffs and all that, and they all fell flat on their face. It feels like Big 12 basketball is actually what our buddy was telling us about SEC football. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, but it just feels like when you watch the Big 12,
agreed,
you can tell those teams are good, even when they're playing crappy teams. Like Houston just looks like, I know Houston beat the crap out of whoever they played yesterday, but you watch that team and you're like, yeah, that's a pretty damn legitimate team. Some of these other teams that we saw that are high seeded yesterday, I was kind of like, well, I just wasn't very impressed. Like, I feel like the Big 12 is definitely the best league, and I feel like that's been shown. I mean, TCU beat a good Ohio State team yesterday. I think Iowa State and Houston both can make the Final Four along with Arizona. It's about as deep and good of a conference as you're going to find.
Do we have a Jefferson update?
Joshua
Jefferson update?
Maybe he was getting X-rays, but I haven't seen what they said. They just said he was getting X-rays. All
right, Marcus Delgado puts it really well. He said, "Whoever said that about the SEC getting everybody ready, that guy must be a total idiot." No, he's not a total idiot, but he's definitely misguided. But he's a good person. We'll just leave it at that.
It's just young. That's all. He hasn't had the experience yet.
He's just young. The older veterans will kind of keep him in line when it comes to it. All right, I want to ask you this: Duke and TCU. What chance do we give TCU of beating Duke? How does this happen? Especially because Ngonga Bonga is not going to play. Obviously, Caleb Foster's out. I give TCU a chance.
Yeah, I was a little surprised the line was 11.5 when it opened up today. But if Gongba doesn't play, Duke, if they don't shoot the ball from 3 very well, and you saw in that first game with Duke against Siena that we've been saying this a lot this year, especially Mike and I in our conversations, but it showed itself big time yesterday as Boozer's lack of explosion and athleticism allows him to sort of be slowed down in some of these games. And then if they don't shoot threes that well, you get an interesting Duke team. And so TCU is going to be big. They're going to be physical. They're going to be athletic. They're going to have played teams that look like Duke all season in the Big 12. So do I think TCU wins? No, but do they have a chance? They for sure have a chance.
I thought that line would be more like 7.5. The 11.5 surprised me. I didn't see that. Kobe L, what say you? We just got done slapping that SEC and nonsense around from a friend of ours. But what do you think?
No, I think TCU does have a fighting chance. I thought they have some momentum. I thought they played well and they had a big game. And, Duke just kind of looked like crap yesterday, to put it lightly. I feel like TCU has a puncher's chance. Funny enough, if Punch has a good game, I think he could give Boozer some problems. He's a really underrated player. He's going to be really good in a year. But I would take a good look at that game because TCU's tough. They're pretty pesky, and while Duke's kind of still a wounded animal right now.
A wounded warrior, is that what you turned him into, like a purple?
I wasn't going to say that, but animal. But you were asking for a Jefferson. You're asking for a Jefferson update. He came out in the second half, but he had a boot and was all wrapped up, and he had crutches. and they had it elevated on a stool.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
That doesn't sound good at all.
They didn't take him off site, but he was. They had it elevated on a stool, and he was in crutches, boot, and all wrapped up.
Well, that doesn't sound good. That's a problem. Utah State is up 22-13 right now on Villanova. All right, now I want to talk a little bit about. I want to give Sean Miller a few flowers here, but first let's get some reads in here. Back the reads. Yeah, there goes my bracket. All right, what do we got here? All right, I will endorse John Brogan all day. I will even endorse the friend that we know that bought all of the SEC crap hook, line, and sink. I'll endorse him. Won't endorse Andre Veros, though. Just won't do it. Not on my watch. Not going to happen. Just not going to do it. Period. Point blank. People stop asking. But at the end of the day, I will highly recommend Andre Veros. You give Andre a call at 520-325-3456 to learn more and reference the AZ12 podcast for a complimentary financial education session. Listen more or learn more at longviewii.com. We'll review your income taxes and saving strategies so you understand which options make the most sense for you. Confused about your employer's 401k? Give it a chance. Longview, baby, check it out. Too busy winning says I'm still 100% on my bracket. Not sure I believe that. Okay, Copal. Yes. All right, now Copal, I think, but one thing I am sure about is the Mike Lucalote rib. Kobe Thiel, have you ever thought about just devouring a Mike Lucalote rib for free?
Daily basis, every day.
Yeah. So let's do that. Okay. So book your next large party or corporate event with Copal. Large party packages available. They cater any event. Tucson's contemporary Mexican food. CopalTucson.com. Mexican food delivered nationwide at mymexicanmenu.com. Use code AZ12 for 10% off. Oh, okay. All right. Now I want to give Sean Miller a little bit of credit here. What he did, first of all, what he did against BYU was pretty impressive. I didn't think they were going to make the tournament this year, and he's done a really good job there. They got that foreigner that looks like Jack Alonius from Illinois last year, who was like 3 of 11 but still dominated. I don't think they're going to go far this year, but you can tell they're going to build a monster, guys.
Well, he's already got recruits coming in next year. I mean, it's his first year, turned over the roster a little bit, and so for him to make the tournament to beat BYU, I mean, you could see a little bit of the old Sean Miller in that game. It's like DeBanza can do whatever he wants, and we're going to make sure that nobody else can really get going in this game, and we'll take our chances at that point. Now, they missed 100 free throws in the last 3 minutes and tried their hardest to lose it, but luckily BYU doesn't have any good players left. So they're an interesting team because they're athletic, and so I actually kind of think they're going to win the next game, and then it gets tough for them. But I think they got one more game in them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel fairly good.
I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back because my bracket, I did actually have Texas going to the Sweet 16, or I still do. One of those first four teams always kind of goes on a run. I watched them play that first four, and I was like, they're going to have some momentum going forward, and they get to play BYU and Gonzaga, who are both wounded. So my thought process was kind of like, Sean Miller's still a pretty damn good coach. He could go on a little run here.
I'm actually going to stick up for Miller a little bit with the people going credit. The Ryan Anderson thing, any coach, I believe, would have done that. You literally have just tied the game with a second left, and you have a full-time assistant coach that is basically out on the court then. They are incredibly lucky, and quite frankly, probably should have had a tech called there. You can't do that under any circumstances ever. I had no problem with him going into Ryan Anderson like that because that was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen from an assistant coach, guys.
Yeah, and here's the thing. The truth is always somewhere in the middle. This is the third instant between conference tournaments and the NCAA tournament where people have stormed the court with a second or so left, and they've called zero techs. So the referees have finally applied common sense to the rule and the spirit of the rule versus the letter. We're saying, hey, this is good. It wasn't like we stormed the court and it was a 10-minute delay. I think the problem people have with Miller is it's one thing to yell at your assistant coach. It's another thing to look like you're about to bite his face off, which is what Miller looks like. So it's the Mark or the Mike Stoops thing where be animated great, but you're level 20 when you could be level 7 and get the same point across. I think that's where people have the issue with Miller is he looked like he wanted to kill him where he could have just looked like he was mad at him. You know what I mean? So
right. Well, it's like the Tarczewski thing on the bench where it's like, dude, you don't have to, you don't need to have your players saying, hey, dude, just calm down a little bit. It's okay.
Right.
You know, like when your player is telling you that, it's that's a little bit of it. That's obviously a little bit of an issue. So that's what makes Miller him and some people like that. All right. Now we got to talk about Tony Padilla. He's reared its ugly head again. So anybody that watched the end of that Santa Clara, Kentucky game, I will never understand why coaches don't foul when they're up 3 and there's like 2 seconds left. I can't really now. Brogan makes a good point. Herb Sendek probably could have been a little bit more obvious about running onto the court. But, man, Tony Padilla, literally, if you're an official, you have to be aware of what's going on in that situation there because 99% of coaches are looking to call a timeout there. Padilla didn't give him the timeout. He clearly called the timeout. It's just stuff like this that is game in and game out that always has a major impact on the game. It's not like it's a travel call with 2 minutes left in the first half. It seems like Tony Padilla has a unique ability when the game is on the line to either ignore a call or to exert himself into it or whatever, but it just happens all the time.
Well, and here's the thing is, as long as I can remember Jamel Horn full court laying out, diving to foul somebody from behind in a tie game, I can never trust players to make decisions late in game to know when to foul, when not to foul. So to me, it falls explicitly on coaching. Call a timeout, set it up, great. In the moment, it was like, okay, Santa Clara didn't call a timeout. That's stupid, but whatever. Like, I don't expect the player to know I should foul it.
Yeah.
Because you're in the moment of the game, like things are flying everywhere. But then when you go back and watch the replay and you see Herb Sendek calling a timeout, and not one single official looked at him like that's not the most normal thing ever, that to me is a problem with the officials not understanding the time in the moment to not even glance at the bench. The one ref in front of Sendek that he ran towards sprinted down the court with his head down the floor. I don't know what you're looking at. The ball's behind you. And then Padilla runs right by Sendek with tunnel vision, doesn't even look at him. So I don't know. You can nitpick. Did Kentucky have the ball? This, that, and the other. They've given tons of timeouts over the years where they've had the ball, haven't had the ball. Doesn't really matter. That's the easiest timeout call ever if you're just paying attention. And it costs
exactly. And that's not how
the possession thing to me is BS anyways. Because I know
if you call a timeout, if you call a timeout immediately after the basket, that's not Kentucky does.
I know he called it before he even caught it. Like he went like that, and then they didn't do it, and then they picked the ball up, and he was
right. So so you're wrong there because Kentucky did not have the possession. But go ahead.
Even if they grab the ball for a second, as long as they're not running the baseline and throwing the ball in, they're granted timeouts all the time.
Right.
Padilla continuously is at the end or it's some capacity involved in late game blunders. It seems like every couple weeks. Whenever there's a crazy ending to a game where the refs messed up or anything like someone got 4 free throws in the last 10 seconds, it always seems like Padilla is reffing. Always.
Well, I'll always go back to that BYU game against Arizona when you're in McHale, where you call the foul on Trey Townsend when it's not your call. You shouldn't even be looking in that area to begin with. And you go there and you overrule a guy who's literally looking right at it. So it kind of is what it is. Okay. So now looking ahead a little bit here, guys, how are your brackets? Brogan, what was your Final Four bracket? Talk to me. What do you have? Who do you have in the Final Four?
I don't entirely remember, but it's Arizona, Michigan, Houston, Florida. Who's in Florida's bracket? I don't think I took maybe Florida.
Houston's in Florida's bracket.
Houston, and then Duke, Michigan, Arizona, Houston. With it being Arizona, Duke in the title game, Arizona winning.
Do you like Duke if Ngongaba isn't playing in the tournament?
No, but I firmly believe he plays in the Sweet 16. I don't think he plays tomorrow, but I think he plays in the Sweet 16. But I don't like Duke tomorrow without him playing. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Kobe?
I actually have the same Final Four, but I have Houston beating Duke because I feel like Houston can drag Duke into deep waters that no team in the ACC can. they just bring a different level of physicality and defense than any team in the ACC plays. So I feel like they'll be able to kind of muck it up a little bit and kind of do things they haven't seen before. But other than that, I have the same Final Four.
Yeah, I would. All right. So I have, well, let's see here. Arizona versus Houston championship game. Arizona wins on a bank shot. Well, I'll take that, everybody. I'll take that every single day of the week. All right. Hey, Cody, we got any more reads or no? What am I saying? Of course we do. Hey, Clayton, this is for you. We got a surprise for you. Hold on. Oh, not yet. RJ's Frozen Cactus, Red Hot beer, or Red Hot Sports and Ice Cold Beer, 100 plus craft beers, $2 deals, pizza, wings, tacos, burgers, and more. No bad seats in the house. Huge parking lot you can park a jet in. I mean, ASU fans, they generally don't have much to root for. So if you want to come hang out in the parking lot, Clayton, ASU fan, that would be more than acceptable there. You can start yourself. You can talk about your dominance in non-revenue sports like
Clayton
swimming.
is actually Clayton's a BYU fan.
Well, wow. Clayton's a BYU
and a Nebraska fan. He's a Nebraska fan as well.
Clayton, why do you care about $2 beers then if you're a BYU fan? I don't understand. Yes, RJ's Frozen Cactus, Red Hot Sports and Ice Cold Beer, baby. All right, let's see here. What do we got? All right. All right, Comfort X8. Comfort X HVAC, Tucson's local team, trusted by homeowners, businesses, and builders. Call 520-222-7012 or book online at Comfort X HVAC. Service and maintenance, emergency repairs, installations, replacements, indoor air quality, mini splits, ductwork, ventilation. They saved Tony Gimino $2,000. They can save it to you as well. Kobe L. Field needs to get AC. He's still being stubborn about it. We'll see if we can continue to make this one happen. Boom. All right, what else we got? Oh, I like that. Kobe, you're sounded like boop. All right, Kobe.
He's lip syncing. He's lip syncing.
Yeah, he's lip syncing us. Yes, this isn't meant for everybody though. 2 convenient locations: Tucson plus Green Valley, 50 plus locally sourced landscaping materials. East of Benson, Brogan's neck of the wood. Heck, they'll deliver to Thatcher, Land the Man's neck of the woods. West of Miranda, south of Nogales, north to Oracle. But if they deliver to Thatcher, they might have one of those cardboard football helmets or the peach basket basketballs back when Thatcher was dominating. All right, but yeah, check it out. Green Valley Decorative Rock. Back the rock. All right. Now, everybody also go to Little Caesars. 15% off any online order. Use code SAVE15, code LCFREECC. Free crazy combo with a pizza purchase. Guys, this is exactly what I wanted for Arizona. They beat the crap out of the team. They let them know very, very quickly that you do not belong on the same court as us. You're not like us. And I got to basically just sit back and just sit back and be able to watch the game and hug Bruce and have a really, really good time. Brogan, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, again, it's what we expected. Come out, smack them, keep it moving. I think you will see something similar in the next game. I know a lot of people in the chat are saying 1 game at a time like it's 1960, but sometimes you just have to accept the fact that your team's the best team in the country and you're going to smash a lot of teams. So once we get to Arkansas in the Sweet 16, then I'll slow it down a little bit and be a little more thoughtful. But these first 2 games, we don't have to think much. Just go out there, be physical, win by 20 plus, and
just go out there and play Arizona basketball, and you're going to be just fine. Both these teams suck. That's the best way that I can put it. Both these teams suck. Okay, Kobe L. Thiel, your friend Clayton believes that there are other forces that are guiding Utah State.
Correct. Foreign powers are influencing Utah State. I mean, we might have to do some investigative reporting on that one. But no, like we were saying earlier, he can't really. I think I put in the chat. I was like, I don't want to see anyone complaining about this game, and of course Javier was. So. Kind of annoyed me, but I don't. They came out, they hit a couple threes. They were playing the best they could, but Arizona was still in a different class. I mean, it was pretty apparent about 6 minutes into the game that this was going to be a blowout, and that was exactly what it was. You can't really ask for a better first game than that.
All right, now, so, all right, yes, so, all right, Marcus Delgado. Oh, Marcus Delgado's taking a shot at Kobe L. Thiel. He says, we know Kobe has a thing for AI women, so that is, or AI people, sorry, so that is a serious possibility. Kobe, defend yourself right now.
No, I actually do know Clayton. He's a good guy. He just thinks it's funny to annoy the chat.
All right, well, yeah, good work, Clayton. And by the way, like Dennis Walsh asked, nothing with Land the Man or Fran the Man will ever conflict with each other because they are both greats. They are both titans. They are on the greatness of the AZ-12 Mount Rushmore. They will never collide. That will not be the case. Okay, now I am going to say we will be back with you tomorrow. Might be an evening show so we can talk more tournament games. But, excuse me, for John Brogan, for Kobe L. Thiel, I am merely Mike Luke. I'm going to get back to the arena now. All right, TTFN, ta-ta for now. Doodles.